Hi everyone, this is going to be a quick and short one. Welcome back to An Accidental Retiree. I'm Tammy E, and this is supposed to be my monthly writing update. I got a cold, and I think it's 3 or 4 weeks that I've been going with whatever this is. I'm maybe getting over it. I woke up with a lot of sinus today with my sleep machine. It's stuffy nose and stuff. But maybe this thing is finally leaving the building. I did have antibiotics. It was a full-blown sinus infection at one point, and hopefully I'm on the road to recovery. But I didn't write a thing during November. I did think through a few things. There's one character I want to change. I took a look at it, know that I have to knit the two parts together again. I'll have to look at where I'm at, because I didn't get to do what I wanted to do hopefully that night. I have been working on my office area. It's not quite there yet, but I'm not getting more things in. I'm done with my Christmas shopping. I'm going to need to, we did get one huge mail project finished. There's a little bit more for me to do, and then my new system of how we handle the mail that comes in will be in place finally. And that is a huge part of this. I have my staples for the pantry that are ready to go, but because I got sick, I didn't want to put them in the new canisters. So I got to rewash a couple canisters tonight. And hopefully that will be a project I do tomorrow. I may sit here and do some things later tonight. We'll see. I'm working on it. It's just, part of it. Which brings me to doing the best that you can. Maybe the best I can do is 21,000 words towards this novel. A little over 25,000 words. Actually, it's more like 25 because I have another part. But maybe that's all I can do this year. That's more than I did last year. And it connects to what I did last year or the year before. Granted, I'm going to have to go back and, write other novels, hopefully. Hopefully I'll finish one before I'm gone. Hopefully I'll publish one before I'm gone. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be 67 soon, and, I don't know how long I have left. This was a rough year. I didn't know if I was going to make it some days. And, every day is a blessing. And, how do I want to spend it? What is the important thing? What did God want me to do with my life? And I was watching a singer who's like really kind of one of those Christians I'm not really keen on because they don't have a degree, they haven't really studied, but they read the Bible, which that's good. Nothing wrong with that. But they start to put themselves with Jesus. Jesus wasn't educated. Well, the world was a whole lot different 2,000 years ago, and probably by today's standards, he was quite educated. I would never put myself with Jesus. I'm not like Jesus. I asked Jesus and God all the way along my path to getting an education what I needed to do. And there were times I almost quit. And there were aunts that pulled me back in and said, you don't quit or I'm going to be mad at you. And I respected that aunt, and I did finish. So, no, getting an education didn't necessarily guarantee I was going to get a job. No. But it enriched my life so much. When I had something to say, I felt people could listen. At least I had the facts, or I knew how to gather the facts to back up what I said. When people go to seminary, it's not like they just study their religion. They also have to know about other religions and the commonality between them. My cousin in seminary had to learn not only our English Bible or the King James Version or the New Version, but he had to learn how to read scripture in Greek, in Hebrew, in Italian, I think it was too, German. I know he had to learn German. So that's what seminary is. You learn things backwards, forwards, and in other languages, which makes a difference. And it's why, like in the Methodist Church, sometimes they will talk about various words in Greek and other languages as they go through scripture with you. And to say that churches don't give you lessons is very false. Maybe the churches that are founded by people that didn't really go to proper seminary schools or didn't go to seminary, maybe that's the way it is. There are churches, and then there are churches. In my lifetime, I've been a Methodist. I converted to Catholicism. Yeah, I'm more of a Methodist. I have to be honest. I am more of a Methodist. But there are things I haven't officially gone back. That's who I am. I pray daily. Probably hourly. Sometimes anyway, for sure. And this isn't just now in my retirement. I think I prayed more when I was a person in the workforce. When I went to college, there was a chapel I went to when I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. When college got hard. At the Madison campus, I didn't have that. I had that at Carroll College, but at the Madison campus, you know, it was in the classroom itself that God finally spoke to me and made me realize that I was happiest working with children. I'd always tutored children in my mom's classes in high school and at the middle school, and I loved it. In fact, I worked in reading with kids at the middle school when I was in high school as my volunteer thing that I was required to do, but I did love it. I really loved it. Every time I had to do volunteer for work for my diploma or my degree, I ended up really loving it, and it ended up being like the biggest blessing. It was a hassle to do, but the biggest blessing that led me to information that I really gathered that enriched my teaching. You know, in college, I worked with what was called TMR students, which were trainable mentally retarded. That's what the term was. Now it would be profoundly cognitively disabled, something like that. I don't know. I think there's another level. I know it would be a little more help. You know, basically what these people were able to do is basic sorting. They had various impairments, you know, but I learned so much from that I applied when I worked with students that had challenges. You know, I probably will use that to some degree and do with my grandson. So sometimes God has led me to certain paths. And I think that's only because I would talk to God every morning. God, send me a message in the next song. I'm really worried about this, or is this what you want? Or is this, you know, and so many times it spoke or prepared me for something. And then there was a time that you know, after 9/11, I thought God was so overwhelmed. I didn't want to bother him with my little things, you know. I had the job I loved, the dream job. And I did my best. And, oh, I'd pray sometimes for my students, not very much for myself. And I would thank God that I had this job. And I was amazed that I had this job that I just loved. Well, eventually that went away. And I've spent 12 years trying to understand it, and it's been very hard. And it seemed everything that I've wanted to try to do that might impact the world, like making jewelry, writing stories, something happens that makes it difficult or impossible. Of course, I always pray and did pray for my family throughout those years. You know, maybe this is just it. Maybe just being a grandmother and a mom and a wife and a housekeeper, which I don't do a very good. I am deficient as a housekeeper. I will admit that. I'm not a great cook. I don't like cooking. I don't like any of that. Especially now with my neck and, you know, my health things. That's really what really makes it hard. I used to like it a little bit more, but it wasn't like what I dreamed of as a little girl, staying home and making babies and cooking and being a housewife. That was never my dream. No, because my example wasn't that. My mom taught since I was 9 months old. And retired after I was a teacher. So, you know, that was not my example, not my dream, not my thing. I am so happy I am a mom and a grandmother and have this wonderful house that I love. And I love it when I get it in order. I love it when everybody like sees the order and helps me get an order. That doesn't always happen, and you know, and right now I've got too much junk. I do. It's my fault. I don't blame anyone. We're working around that, and then we've got Christmas going on. I mean, but it's going to get better this month. That's my goal as much as writing anything. Oh, I'd love to finish this novel this month, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I'll update you. It might be just like this, where I tell you what happened this month and the million excuses I have for not writing. Well, I hope it's not a million excuses, but you know, why my work isn't done. But hopefully I'll write something. It's got to happen. Right? At least knit that story together. I don't know. We'll see what happens, and I've got my number of count, and we'll see, and I'll be able to tell you. And I've got to have my late lunch, which I made, and I haven't eaten yet. I haven't finished preparing, and so I'm going to do that. And close up shop here for the day, at least for now. And have my late lunch, little snack for my grandson when he comes home. Anyway, I'm Tammy E, Accidental Retiree, saying bye for now. God bless, and see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to put that thumbs up button. Please do subscribe to my channel, Accidental Retiree.